The federal opposition has overtaken the government in Newspoll for the first time since Malcolm Turnbull assumed the Liberal leadership. Mr Turnbull is refusing to comment on the figures, despite previously using such polls to justify getting rid of Tony Abbott. From Canberra, political reporter Matthew Doran.
The cranes are lifting the skyline of Sydney, but Malcolm Turnbull's rise in the polls seems to have stalled.
Well, look, I'll leave the commentary on matters like that to the commentators.
Labor's primary vote still trails the coalition, but after preferences, the opposition has edged ahead for the first time since the change in Prime Minister.
There's never been a more exciting time to be alive.
While Mr Turnbull doesn't want to discuss it now, he's made it an issue before, citing the coalition's fortunes in the polls as a reason for ousting his predecessor.
We have lost 30 Newspolls in a row.
That's why you wanted to take over that job.
Well, again, it's kind of you to invite me to engage in the commentary.
I made a practice as Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition never to comment on polls.
Cabinet ministers have been prepared to comment, putting it down to last week's public spat with the states. They're keen to point out Malcolm Turnbull is still much more popular than his counterpart, despite his fortunes slipping there as well.
If you look at the poll between who people want, Malcolm Turnbull or Bill Shorten, Malcolm always leads Bill Shorten basically 2-1, at least 2-1.
We dealt with some really difficult issues last week, and when you deal with difficult issues, in particular in relation to, taxation at both the Commonwealth level and a state level, it can sometimes get a little bit messy.
OK, no worries. Good to see you.
Labor smells blood.
The honeymoon that Malcolm Turnbull first enjoyed when he first became leader was never going to last.
If the government's concerned it's drowning in the polls, it could be looking to its $50 billion submarine project to shore up its defences. An announcement on where the 12 subs will be built could be just over the horizon.
Because I don't think you can expect anyone in Australia to go to vote without knowing what that big investment's going to do.
An issue like polls, which will surface again. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Canberra.